Hello everyone, we are third year undergraduates from SLIIT. Today we are going to discuss about distributed computing with Node and .NET environment. So let's see what we will be discussing during this presentation. We will be discussing what are distributed systems, and we have already created a distributed system, so we will be discussing about the technologies that we used in this system, overview of the project that we developed, explanation of high-level architecture, and finally a demonstration of the project. So what are distributed systems? Distributed systems are collection of components which are located in different machines and communicate with each other in order to perform a specific task. So let's see what are technologies that we used in this project. We will be having a web application, so the front end is developed using React.js. The REST API is developed using Node.js and Express.js. Desktop application is developed using C# with .NET Core framework and .NET Remoting. For the MongoDB, for the database we are using the MongoDB. For authentication, JSON Web Tokens. For SMS sending, Apache Web Services. So let's talk about the overview of the project that we developed. So we have developed a fire alarm system for the hotel. Here the admin is supposed to add new rooms to the hotel and assign new customers to those rooms. And also the admin has the capability to add new fire alarm sensors to specific rooms. So these fire alarms are by default inactive, and the carbon dioxide level and the smoke level which can be read by these sensors are 0 by default, and these fire alarm sensors will read carbon dioxide level and smoke level of the specific room and send those data to the database. When the carbon dioxide level or the smoke level rises above level 5, which is harmful for the customers, SMS notification and an email notification will be sent to the customer of that specific room. And from the web applications, customers can monitor the carbon dioxide level and the smoke level of their rooms. So let's talk about the high-level architecture of the project that we developed. So there are mainly 5 components: desktop application, the web application, fire alarm sensor, mobile application, and an email sending application. In the desktop application, there are mainly 4 components: the client application, the server application, and the remote interface and the methods of the remote interfaces. So the remote application has a reference to the remote interfaces, and the remote server is having a reference to the remote methods. All these 4 components are located separately. They are not inside each other. And the client application will be sending data to the server, and the server will be sending data to the MongoDB via REST API. When we talk about the web application, the user can see data from the MongoDB through the REST API. The sensor will also send data to the MongoDB using the REST API. The mobile application, which is used to send SMSs to the customers, and the email application, which is used to send emails to the customers, will fetch data from the REST API. So that is the explanation of the architecture. So next will be the demonstration by Dinuwan Kalubowila. Thank you.
Welcome to the demonstration. I am Dinuwan Kalubowila, the co-contributor of this project. So let me demonstrate what we had done throughout of this project. So as the first step, I will start the this is our folder structure. Then this folder .NET remoting folder included the old remoting stuff. Then dummy sensor parts, which is nothing but it's actually the it act as a sensor. Then it is developed. It's simply C# Windows application. So inside of server folder, it includes the all backend parts, simply which means REST API. Then it which was developed using Node.js and Express.js. Then outer part is web client, which is developed using React.js. So as my first step, I start the my REST API first. So this is the uh, project file path of my folder path to my back REST API. So I started REST API. The reason why I put here Node1 because in my package.json file I included Node1 as my dev dependency. So you can see here the server is started on port 5000, then connected to the MongoDB. So this is the DB. It has two collections, rooms and users currently. Then as my second step, even you can start either remoting stuff or web client. So I choose web client for my second step. Then I started web client as my second step. This is the uh, project file. This is the folder location in command line. Then I started the web client. Then let's see, may take quite time. Okay, let's move on to the remoting stuff because this is the remoting folder. It's included all remoting stuff. Then this is the solution file. Even though as Dinuka mentioned before, this remoting platform is completely four categories, four categories, which is combined of four categories. Simply remoting the client, the remoting server, and the interface, and the methods that were defined, that which are those are defined in the methods which are defined inside of interface, those are implemented inside of this remote method implementation. Then you can see here the front end is starting. Okay, so this is the for project structure. Then fire alarm service, fire alarm service, remoting client, remoting server. Test data app means which is nothing but because when we developing this project, we are testing our simulations, our routes, then our task using this app. This simply for testing purpose is not development. It's only runtime environment and development dependency. It's not for the production level. So these are the four main approach. As first step, I will started the remoting server because in Java or any other platform, even not only .NET, you have to start server first if you are working with remoting platform. So you have to open remoting server first because when I can do this if I move on to the solution debug folder, I can see here remoting server. The reason I can why I can show this remoting server.exe file here because previously I built this entire project. I built the entire solution, so that's why I can see here it has a exe file. So then I started here the remoting server. Then I move on to the remoting client. Then it's also there is a remoting exe application. So I started that. As first step, you can see here this is the admin login because for this project we are not focusing to the any UI or any patterns. So that's why it's like here. For only thing throughout of this project we want to discuss this what is distributed computing, how distributed computing is work, then how remoting platforms are working with uh, third party projects, third party libraries like we can say even libraries or third-party projects like that, because it's completely different. Those things are developed using those components are developed using different platforms. That's why we call it distributed computing. So then I log into the system using details. Those are the current users in this system. I'll refresh the yeah no okay. I remove current user, current admin and admin at gmail.com. That credentials I remove. Then I enter that credentials. It's dummy number for the super easy part. Then no, if I included same email which is already included inside in the database, what happened? Let's see. Yeah, user email already registered, because this message box is actually coming from C#. But how this is coming? So inside of REST API, we do the validations. Let me show you that one. This is the backend part. Let me open it using Visual Code. Actually, those error message are pop up according to the HTTP standard status code. Because in this is actually Postman. So in this is admin login part actually. I'll show you this as this is correct user login and password. So what happened? How? Yeah, you can see here this. I explained this one. What happened when login? What happened here? So you can see here 200 HTTP status code is 200. Standard response for successful HTTP request. So if I use here incorrect email, it says not found. Then correct email, then its email is now correct, then password is already, it's invalid password. Then what happened? It's bad request. For 200 means simply HTTP standards, 200 means it's okay, it's acceptable. Then 400 means bad request. 404 means it's not found. Then 403 means forbidden. 500 means server error. Like that. There are more HTTP requests available in the web services. So that's why it pop up such kind of message, because throughout of the REST API we validate those things. Not modules, it's inside of routes, inside of users. You can see here, because it's returning 400, 404, 200, like that. According to the response we are getting from REST API in C#, we can manage those message alerts. So let me type here the correct email, then let's see what happened. Yeah, admin@gmail.com, then password is 123. Yeah, successfully registered. Then here, then you can this is the login. Then if I enter wrong email, say user does not exist in the system, say, which is nothing but the same thing that you have seen from this simulation, Postman simulation. So I log into the system using correct credentials. So what happened? Yeah, it's spelling mistake. Let's see this. gamil.com. Okay, it's now correct. So in this part I mentioned, Dinuka mentioned before, we are using, we already used JWT authentication. How we use that? So you can see here this invalid password. can see here you can see here it's generating token, because those inside of that token uh, admin's data, login person's data is encoded. If you copy this one and browse to the site called jwt.io, because actually this is the site which is responsible for JSON web tokens. So if I paste this token here, you can see those are the encoded details. We validate our logins using this authentication, and you can see here our password is all also encrypted. That's why it's like here. Even though I am using for every user account I using password as 123, but even password is same, it's encoded into the different characters, because the reason uh, we encode those things according to current date and time, because current date and time is never uh, to never come come came as same current date and times for two different users. So okay, this is the two windows. We actually maintain two windows. This is for adding rooms. Then this is for assigning users when added to added rooms. So I'll show you when adding room what happened here. The room number is 48, floor number is 4. Then I'll add the room added successfully. After we program this data grid refresh to data retrieve is refreshing after 50 each and every 15 seconds. That's why it's refreshed like this. It's asynchronous call. So I am not doing anything after inserting data. Then it's taken too much time and refresh data itself. Then it's already added to the system. Then if I search this room number, it's already available. Then if I move on to the folder structure, one thing I had to show you. Yeah, this is we are maintaining no we are maintaining actually file handling for this purpose. You can see here these are the current available rooms. So inside the newly created room is 48. Then inside of that floor number is 4, because already no room number is 48 because the folder is created according to the room number. That's why I included the flow number inside of that file, because it's creating a file, creating it's creating a folder. First it's creating a folder according to the room number, then inside of that folder it's creating a simple text file. So let's try another one. In the fifth floor, what happened, let's this though all data is displayed is in here also, because simply you can see here the CO2 sensor, smoke sensor, room status means the CO2 sensor is currently off, whether if it is on or off, like that. Smoke sensor is on or off. Then user status, room status means user in means that particular room currently have a user, has a user. Then user free means then room is free, then any user can allocate it to particular room. Admin can allocate any user to particular room. That's why it's say like free. So I add room 58, then inside of that is also the text file. So let me close these things. Then I will assign so doesn't matter those things, every same data is shown on here. I'll assign a user to this. Let me type my name, then my email, then my mobile, then my NIC. I will type like dummy, then room number. If I use unavailable room number on here, say like this kind of a message, actually which is nothing but actually those are validated from HTTP standard status code. Then I assign 48 as this user. user added successfully. Then let's see what happened. No, then let's see what happened to here. I added 48. Yeah, you can see the file is updated. Simply for this function, file is appending. We managing instead of in addition to managing database, because actually the database is already updated. 48, room number 48 here. Then there are user details. There is user details. So in addition to maintaining database DB data on dumps on DB cluster, we are maintaining file handling system. We are maintaining text files in file folder structure, local folder structure. So these are file handling part. Then if I assign, then now I am assign users for this system, users for the room. Then let's see what happened on desktop client. You can see here this is actually the desktop client, then highest recorded smoke level, then like that. These are some statistics. Then now currently the fire alarm status active means because inside of that room that there is a user. That's why it says active, because otherwise if particular room doesn't have a user, then no need to active the fire alarm system. That's why it's a pop-up shows like inactive. Those are the room details. So I will open the dummy sensor now. This is actually I am build this project, that's why I open this as from here. This is dummy sensor. So then user is already in the room, then I use 48 here. Then all email sending part and SMS sending parts is involving from here. That's I use AnyDesk for this purpose. Yeah, it is connected. So now I'm starting the sensor, because let me give me little time to configure SMS gateway. Yeah, it's okay, because SMS gateway is we are handmade app. That's why I have to configure it. So I start the sensor. So you can see here this is the room details. So 48 is now updating. It's 9 1. Currently situation is off. Then 48 is its CO2 sensor is now on. Then still smoke sensor is off. Then let's see what happened on web. Yeah, this is the average. You can see it's dynamically changing. This is refreshing according to the periodical time, which is I think 30 seconds. Yeah, it's 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds this is refreshing. So in desktop app it's refreshing, the data grid view is refreshing each 15 seconds. Then dummy data sending data to the DB each 10 seconds. So you can see inside of then this is our mail. No, yeah, mail room number 48. This your CO2 level is 9 because it's now alarm is on. You can see here no. Now both alarms are on because CO2 level is going down under 5. That's why it's show as off. Then now smoke sensor is on. Then let's see in SM what happened on SMS gateway. There are two messages. So those are the actually what we have developed in throughout of this system. And let me show you what the text file inside of room 48. You can see what are the if any blast is happen in any blast is if there is any blast is happen inside of room, then you can see you can get prior data what you can examine that how these things happen, because what are the pre-data, what are the evidence that occurred for this incident, you can get throughout of this file because it's recorded uh, every dummy sensor data periodically in your file, because in database it's not recording your previous data but only current data is recording. Now your for room number 48, if I refresh this one, you can see smoke level is 10, CO2 level is 0. Then below 5 it's actually if certain level either CO2 or smoke and below 5, it's actually its particular alarm is off. That's why is CO2 active false, then smoke active true, then both email and SMS were sent. So those are actually we want to tell you another thing. If particular admin want to delete uh, certain room, then you can type that room and search, then delete. Then after a few more seconds it will refreshing here. Let me refresh that one. Yeah, you can't see here for 58. Then already for 27 room is now user is available. Then if imagine that user is check out from the hotel, then one thing admin have to do, then search, then reset the room. That means the it the room is become to the initial state. That means like here no, we can't do it for room 27 because it's user free. If I do room 12, it actually came to the status of now currently room number 27 has reset the rooms. Then it's take quite time, then let show you, then it's user free. So those are the things that we developed using this system. So we use JWT web tokens here also, I mentioned before. Then Node.js and Express.js for REST API parts, then C# .NET remoting, and you can furthermore I will show you, because this is the TC because actually .NET remoting is run on top of the TCP connection. That's why I have to include here TCP channel. Then remoting client, inside of remoting client, then you can see here you have to use that one, you have to assign that one using this calling this particular port. Then global variable simply means actually it defines the TCP channel, because when creating different kind of forms we have to use this channel continuously. That's why I keep it as a global variable. Then for I manage another global variable because we have to manage proxies in both when developing both backend and front ends. To connect backend into your front end, you have to manage proxy. That's the same thing I had used here. This is the base URL for our REST API. You can see even here the base URL for REST API. Then it's change using users login. Then you can see here users register, then room, then but this base URL is common. That's why I use this proxy address here using web API client. So yeah, hopefully those are the parts that we want to show you. Then this entire project is included into the GitHub. The link is in the link will mention in the description. So thank you very much.